third year of Cartoon Limbo, and once again I'm hitting y'all with a Thanksgiving special. You're probably wondering, how is this possible? There aren't that many Thanksgiving specials. My answer to that would be, oh, hell yes there were!
There were gobs of animated Thanksgiving specials, but the thing is, they are extremely tough to find. They either air on TV once and are buried in the annals of time, or they went straight to the discount DVD bin and are buried in obscurity. I'm guessing Thanksgiving specials don't pack in the ratings of Halloween or Christmas specials.
Well, it was difficult, but I managed to find one of these hidden gems. A curious little work from the year 1979. It is Intergalactic Thanksgiving. Strap in, boys and girls, this might be a bumpy ride.
The Spade Minders aren't your typical simple family. These cosmic farmers are off to new worlds in search of some good land for moving crops. Quite literally! They land on what would appear to be a deserted planet, but before Pa can plant that flag and lay his claim, he is introduced to his new alien neighbor, King Gucci, and his loyal subjects. The aliens explain this to be the land of Laugh-A-Lot, and here they harvest their food underground. With overgrown machines, they transform dirt and roots into a nasty-tasting food source. Additionally, King Gucci's sovereign rule is suffering. He is losing control and respect of his people, because this alien race values comedy over all else, and lately the king's comedic timing's been all off. The aliens take a liking to the straight-laced country bumpkin Pa Spademinder, finding his farming trials to be a regular hootenanny. But his radishes are disappearing underground, as if the planet's been hollowed out! And as the planet is falling apart, it swallows up the chillin'! By my stars and garters, whatever shall we do? Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
Now, before I go on, I have to address something. Something I'm sure is the first thing to pop into your head after hearing that plot synopsis. What does any of this have to do with Thanksgiving? Nothing. Nothing at all. I'm trying to piece together the mystery of this special here.
What I neglected to mention is that Intergalactic Thanksgiving has an alternate title. Please don't eat the planet. Who's eating planets? I don't see Unicron anywhere. I don't see the Silver Surfer preparing dinner for Galactus. I actually had to watch this special twice just to make sense of this title, because they just breeze by this important plot detail and it isn't made very clear. At first, when I saw the subterranean machines and all the food moving on these assembly lines, I assumed they were somehow farming underground. A safe assumption, right? There is a scooping mechanism later in the plot that is described as a dessert machine, so I assumed the brown lumps in the shovel was some kind of pudding. Ridiculous, sure, but my mind was struggling to make sense of it. It wasn't until my second viewing I found out these aliens are actually eating dirt. They are somehow free-forming clumps of the planet into a food source. Or is it dirt? Is Laugh-A-Lot an asteroid made of some kind of crumbly cheese? A big chunk of wheat germ? It could be a giant honking turd for all I care. Yeah, the aliens eat shit. That's why they love to laugh, because they all have shit-eating grins. This is way too important a plot point to brush over. It is the whole point of the goddamn production, and it is the very meaning of the title. This should be firmly established the second we meet the aliens, and we should actually see the process instead of having the dirt go in one end and food come out the other. Instead, we have to assume everything! But anyway, back to my original point. If you squint extremely hard, there are some parallels between this and the story of the original Thanksgiving. Pilgrims leaving their homeland in search of a new way of life, laying claim to a new land which already has people living on it, different races learning to live together and celebrating with a gigantic feast. All those beats are here, but aside from that, the plot is so far from the ballpark of the original story. There's no part where one character looks at the other and says, "Hey Ma, you know what? This reminds me of the first Thanksgiving." There's no Mayflower, no Miles Standish, there's neither hide nor hair of a friggin' turkey! For that matter, besides the frigging title, the word Thanksgiving is not said aloud once! Do they mean Thanksgiving by the definition of the word and not the holiday? Thanksgiving, the expression of gratitude, especially to God. That fit? Maybe a little at the end, but I hear no mention of a god. Are we talking about Xenu, the god of Scientology? This Canadian Thanksgiving special Is this what happened on November 6th, 1879? You know, I think I finally cracked it. I bet originally this special was simply entitled, Please Don't Eat the Planet. That's it, no subtitle to speak of. Now I ask you, what excuse is there for any given TV network to air this, It's not like this is a TV pilot. It's not like it's a celebration of something specific. It's not like it stars popular established characters. This special is a gigantic blur with no incentive for anyone to watch. Nobody wants this! Quite the conundrum. So some bozo saw these thin parallels to the Pilgrim story and just said, okay, this is now a Thanksgiving special. Boom! Intergalactic Thanksgiving. Now it has a selling point. Stupid ass shit!
The animation and the art kinda go hand in this special, so I'll cover them both at once.
I must say, when I saw the cover art for this obscure animated work, I went into this with extremely low expectations. I mean, it's been buried all this time and the art looks like trash, almost like those made for VHS religious cartoons. How good could this possibly be? Well, my mind was officially blown a mere minute into this. This special looks and moves way better than it has any reason to. The art is interesting, the ideas are unique, and the frames fly by at a decent clip. But I began to notice something peculiar as I got further into this flick. And this may be the strangest criticism I've ever had on this here show. First off, look at the Spademinders. They don't just look good, they look pretty freaking awesome. I would put this right up there on the level of early Disney animation. Some pretty big props, I know, but look at this animation, don't you agree? It reminds me of that rough style from movies like The Jungle Book and Robin Hood, or well-produced non-Disney fare like Heavy Metal. As far as looks go, my favorite is the daughter character, Victoria. She is so lanky and tall with a weird-looking bubble head and unnaturally long arms. As such, she is not an ugly character, just a very different kind of pretty. Such a far cry from the boring, been there, done that stereotypical mold of an animated leading lady. And I love how the quote-unquote camera catches her at these bizarre angles, allowing she to twist and contort that string bean body of hers. Also, we have her straight-laced pappy, Pa Spademinder, who I loved in a completely different way. I don't know why, and please indulge me in my animation nerdiness, I promise I'll only be a minute, but I love the shape of his head, the boxiness of it, how you can look inside his mouth and catch the depth. And as he nods up and down, the size is consistent, makes it look like a true 3D object. You look at a show like Tiny Toon Adventures. I'm not gonna dump on the animation of that show, hell it had way better animation than most else being aired at the time, but when the characters moved, they all looked like wet dish rags. They never stayed the same size, like amoebas, their shape would never stay consistent from one frame to the next, giving they a decidedly two-dimensional look. The human figures in Intergalactic Thanksgiving, they look like they could reach right out the TV set and slap your wrist for using the Lord Savior's name in vain. Truly impressive. I wasn't familiar with Nelvana as an animation company, but this production makes me want to seek out more.
But note, I am only talking about the human characters. The alien characters, on the other hand, don't look near as impressive in design or in animation.
They are animated way more along the lines of an old Saturday morning cartoon, hardly on par with Disney. True, they may be moving at the same rate of animation, but the alien characters seem to always do more in that animation. Lots more sudden movements, lots more jerking and flinching around. Too much movement, not enough frames. Funny that, you'd think it would be the other way around, right? Aliens should be way more fun to animate. To design and bring to life your own alien race, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. Make they look as cool and different as you want. But no, these aliens couldn't be any more stock. Little green men with antennae. No fun, no creativity, they're not even cute. And I guarantee they don't animate as well because the animators were bored as hell moving them around. Martians Go Home looked better than these sad excuses for ETs.
And you knew this was coming. I hate the color of this special.
I kinda excuse it more in this though, since we are visiting a strange arid alien planet which our Amish-style main characters are trying to cultivate. Lots of dead plains replete of vegetation, deep dark canyons, and more dirt than one can shake a hoe at. The dullness of the color exemplifies the planet's wasteland quality. But I wish these aliens had a bit more pizzazz. The script called for little green men. They bypassed the green in favor of the color of boogers.
Taste the booger flavor, I know it's in there.
And if they couldn't make their skin color vibrant, the least they could have done is add some splash to the outfits they are wearing. Nope, not even that. It just adds that much more boredom to this already dreadfully boring alien race.
Equally boring is the voice cast, who are definitely giving their finest D+ grade performances.
I expect a tired, put-off drawl from the human family. Ma and Pa Kettle are supposed to be boring, but the aliens are equally as blasé, and they're supposed to be yucksters! Come on, how does this happen? If you can't find some goofball voice actors with some manner of lively delivery, I don't know, go to the circus and hire some clowns to do it! Hell, these days you could go to a dark alleyway and find some clowns to do it! Instead, what we have is a slew of unremarkable extras, led by ye oldie-time talk show host and comedian Sid Caesar as King Gucci. Basically, they wanted a name. Sid Caesar was a guy they could get, so they crammed him into the role even though it didn't play to his strengths. Look here, where the character is required to deliver an emotional scene.
Stop, you fools! This isn't a funny party. This is serious. And it's all my fault. I just wanted to make everybody laugh. I should have been a better father. No.
Victoria!
You see what they did? They couldn't cut him off fast enough! Sorry, Sid. You may be a national treasure, but this wasn't your greatest triumph. I would leave this off of your resume. It's stunt casting at its worst. It's just like casting Matthew Broderick as Simba the Lion. Did he audition for his role and outperform everybody? No. Is he known for doing a good lion voice? No. He was hired because he's a name that people know, and that's it. Drives me batty because they could easily both save money and get a better performance with a no-name actor. Not to say there aren't some good performances here. The voice of the Oracle, the king's wisecracking magic mirror, a guy by the name of Martin LaVoot, is brilliant! He zips around from one voice to the next like he's an ancestor to Robin Williams' Genie. If this guy were playing King Gucci, now that would be something. Victoria has a fine voice as well, nothing to complain about there. Hey, juicy bit of trivia. You know who's doing the voice of Ma Spademinder? That's a young Catherine O'Hara. Yeah, the drunken, ineffectual mother in every movie ever made. This must have been before her career went up Schitt's Creek.
But the way I like to think, it doesn't matter what the presentation is like. Great fluent animation, capable voice acting, they're all fringe benefits. Bad, lackluster presentation, it's a bummer, yeah, but it could harmlessly wash over me if the story is good enough. Is this story good enough?
Well, first I'd like to mention that I like the idea of Intergalactic Thanksgiving, the steampunk aspects of it. I love to watch visions of the future from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The way that every vehicle has that World's Fair whirly-bird quality. The way everything flies around yet at the same time feels a bit antiquated. I love the tech, how round and bulbous everything seems to be. When it comes to vehicles and the like, the idea and the design are a strong marriage.
Let me rephrase myself though. There is a bud of a good idea here. If they had, I don't know, 1-2 hours to let it play out, it would be one thing. But as it is...
The whole idea of these technophobe Mennonites having to share a planet with these highly technological alien beings, that is a great contrast which could make for some fun scenarios. On top of that, they even went the Romeo and Juliet route, where two innocents from opposing sides accept one another's differences and build up a relationship. But in a large part, the fun dies with the idea. In execution, it's a bit of a mess. Without doing the proper research on this, I would swear that this was a failed TV pilot, because in a paltry half hour, they do a lot of world building. There's long descriptive shots of the unusual alien technology. There are lengthy musical montages where we explore every nook and cranny of the planet. And most of all, it is chock full of unnecessarily long dialogues. It is so busy showing us things and telling us nothing, the story takes a complete back seat. And this is a pretty complex story to cram into a half hour. Hell, Still, close to the end of the special, we are introduced to a brand new alien race, which plays an important part in the climax, and their story begins and ends in the blink of an eye! I don't even feel like we ever got a good look at them before they dropped out of the story. The whole union of Victoria and Not Funny Enough is such a great idea. These two right here should be your main characters, your point of view characters, the innocents caught in the middle of the chaos, the two youngins the child viewers can identify with. If I were a child, I could see myself easily getting lost in this, the sheer whimsy of it. But like everything else, it's on and off screen in a millisecond and it leads to nothing. If they were going to tell this whole story in a paltry half hour, the least they could have done is limit our time with Ma, Pa, and King Gucci, and focus more of the story on the two kids. This special wastes so much time doing mundane things, they have to resort to shorthand in telling the actual plot. And while we are supposed to see the Amish and the aliens as two opposing forces, we really don't see they interact much. In fact, both sides seem to have their heads so far up their own asses, they barely even acknowledge one another! The farmer dude is only interested in raising his beets and carrots. Every once in a while, the aliens will come by and watch what he's doing.
Oh man, there are those pesky aliens again. Can't they see I'm trying to plant seeds?
That's hardly a conflict. Going to the other side, this alien race loves a good laugh. And they used to find their king a regular Sam Kinison. What a hoot! But somewhere along the line, he stopped finding zingers. Now the aliens find Pa Spademinder a laugh riot for whatever reason, and the alien king is now forced to try and win back the attention of his people. Gucci and Pa are so tertiarily involved with one another, and it plays out more like two separate stories rather than one large overarching narrative. And like I said before, this special has barely enough time focusing on one story. You can imagine how scatterbrained this all plays out on screen.
Yeah, add to all of this, the humor is the absolute pits. Now, normally I wouldn't slam a special too hard for this, since humor is subjective and it really depends on one's mood going in. Well, here I have no choice but to breathe fire all over every second, because it is a plot point that these aliens are supposed to be funny!
In this special, I feel about the aliens one of two ways. Either I'm bored by them, or I'm annoyed at them. The most notably bad scene is this one right here. I dare you to try and pay attention to this!
Your royal silliness, aliens are invading!
What?
A ship is landed over there!
Over where? Are you kidding? I'm not falling for that old gang. Besides, we've got official royal fun to do. Is it funny?
It's a little bit funny.
How funny is it on a scale from 1 to 10?
Well, I'd say it was about as funny as the farmer.
What is supposed to be happening here? What technology is this? Some kind of phone or archaic recording device? Aren't we selling the idea of a technologically advanced race? This would seem to be a step backward, right? Look how many bodies it takes just to operate the thing! I'm guessing the mindset behind this visual gag is that they wanted it to be so frantic and nonsensical it might elicit a giggle? But no! It's just a bunch of voices saying everything under the sun but layered atop each other so you can't hear a word of it. I did think, as a concept, it is slightly humorous that the young alien character is named Not Funny Enough. It makes way for some nice, witty, who's on first style dialogue, yet still totally in King Gucci's character to give his son such a name.
I'm not a hater, I'll give props where props are due.
I thought the dog Cromwell was funny. Oh, I neglected to mention the dog, didn't I? Yeah, the Spademinders traveled with a dog in tow. At least, I think it's a dog. It looks like a cross between Foofer and a testicle. He isn't given a whole lot to do, but he's animated all goofy-like. So round, wrinkly, and bulbous, I just wanted to pop him with a thumbtack. He's a visual treat for the eyes, and he made me smile. But overall, if you're looking for a good laugh, or even a forced laugh, look elsewhere. There are few to be found here.
Even more intrusive, this special has to free up time for its various musical numbers. And I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what's going through your mind right now. This special has musical numbers! Ah!
But don't fret, my pet. Even though this special doesn't have the spare time for them, and even though I do subscribe to the mantra that if your name is not Disney, Bluth, Rankin, and or Bass, you should stay far away from the musical number, I can say truthfully, here, it's not all that bad. Thankfully, the characters don't break into song. Instead, music is played over typical time passage montages, and the music on the whole is good. Not fantastic, but it does the job. It's got that retro late 70s, early 80s vibe, which instills a decent sense of wonderment. This scene where Victoria and young Not Funny Enough are sailing over the planet, taking in the sights of this huge new world, the music does help you get lost in the moment. Reminds me a lot of a theme song from a 70s TV show.
Sometimes the chance you take is the chance you waited for. We don't know what's in store, but we're looking for something more.
You might think that wouldn't make for a good fit, but you'd be surprised. Finally, there is one song here that leaves everything else in the dust. The song Build It Up, as sung by these underdwelling flea characters. Listen to a little bit of this.
We've got to build it up. Build it up. 'Cause the breakdown is near and the danger is clear. Build it up.
Every good musical needs that one song that's just off the chisel nuts, and this one more than fits the bill. I love that funky, infectious beat. That gravelly-voiced lead singer who sounds like the Jedi Rocks alien from the remastered version of Return of the Jedi. The bobbing, dancing visuals that go along with it. You have to wait a while for it, but when it comes, man is it worth it. It is, bar none, the most fun thing about this special.
So, is this movie out of this world? Or should it be jettisoned into empty space? Your guess is as good as mine. Intergalactic Thanksgiving gets... Two and a half stars. Whew, that grade stings.
I hated having to give this special such a low grade, for there is a juicy nugget of something great here. I find the juxtaposition of technology-savvy Amish people in space so absurdly clever, and the general plot is equally so. The animation is almost too good for what this is. The voice talents are adequate with only a few notable exceptions, and the musical numbers are above par. But in the end, it is the horrible pacing of this special which kills it dead. If it were double the length, if they had an hour in which to tell this tale, things may have turned out for the better. Scratch that. They would have turned out better. You'd be looking at a 3.5 star rating, a full star higher. But this special has too much story with not enough time to tell it, and even worse, it is so wrapped up in laying out the world for us, it eschews the plot almost altogether. They were so busy putting the pieces together, they lost focus on the story. It's a mess. I can honestly say if I wanted to watch sci-fi agriculturists, I would watch Critters on the new Batman Adventures, which incidentally is one of the worst things ever! It is so strange it turned out this way. I look at something like Defenders of Dynatron City, which was a failed TV pilot. It introduced double the amount of characters, it built a universe, and it had a whole bunch of epic set pieces in an equal amount of time. And, love the characters or hate them, at least you remembered them afterwards. When this story hurriedly wraps up, it leaves you empty inside. You will take nothing away from this. It just feels like a bunch of unrelated stuff that happened on an alien planet. And on top of that, let's not forget the boring alien design, the dull color, the ill fit of Sid Caesar as King Gucci, and worst of all, the title. The titles. It doesn't matter whether you call it Intergalactic Thanksgiving and it's not about Thanksgiving, or Please Don't Eat the Planet and it's not very clear that they're eating a planet. Whichever one you call it by, it is promising us something it ultimately is not going to give us. Yeah, this was a juicy nugget of a good idea, but that's all it is. A nugget.
Is it possible for something to be so overstuffed that it's actually understuffed? Like if you were to cram so much stuffing up a turkey's butt, it actually explodes and you're left with nothing? Are there any words to describe the pointlessness of this special?
Hello?
Your Royal Silliness, aliens are invading.
What?
A ship is landed over there.
Over where? Are you kidding? I'm not falling for that old gang. Besides, we've got official royal fun to do. Is it funny?
Wow. That was strangely apropos. This is your good buddy DJ Clive, and until next time, I'll see you in Limbo.
Without putting something back, we've got to build it up. Build it up. 'Cause the breakdown is near and the danger is clear. Build it